All right, everybody, and welcome to this special spooky Real Sharks podcast episode. It is your humble host, Rob, with his two co hosts, Steve and Lucas Maximus, out there. And,
Yo.
and we got a special episode that we are being joined by our fellow podcasters, Reviews That Scares, and a Journey with the Cinephile. And we are actually going to be doing, everybody, the 31 days of horror. We're doing the Treehouse of Horror Simpson specials. So now that's out of the way, and everyone can breathe lightly, especially myself here on introductions. First of all, I want to say, everybody, thank you for watching us, and make sure you're watching us on Pod Nation TV. And of course, happy Halloween, everybody, from the Real Sharks to you.
Yes.
So happy Halloween. So we took actually the second week. So of course, as you heard, Reviews That Scared did the first 1 through 7 seasons of Treehouse of Horror, and now it is our turn, everybody. And so I actually, I have to say, guys, I was for those of you who don't know, I am a big, huge, humongous anti-Simpsons guy. I never really cared for the Simpsons, but so this special was a little different for me. But I have to say, my two co-hosts though, they were like, "Hey man, just stick with it, and it gets better. It gets better." And I have to say, so that was it did get better. So I want to go ahead and let's kick it off here with the what would be season 8's Treehouse of Horror, which was the first episode, which was The Thing and I. And I have to say, guys, this actually really kicked it off for me because this episode was really good. I love the whole Bart's doppelganger kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
when he's living in the attic,
Yeah.
just running around. And these Treehouse of Horrors too. They're really homages to a lot of other horrors and Twilight Zone episodes, and some. I have to actually say I was really impressed. Some, like, especially this episode, as we were just talking about off air, is like one of Luke's favorite episodes.
Uh-huh.
And
I
can
realized the episode after this is my favorite, but still, it's still good. This one's a good one, too.
This is a good one, yeah. So, what did you guys think of The Thing and I? What did you guys think of that episode?
Well, but my favorite part of the whole thing is that, like, yeah, actually, Bart's the evil one.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah,
like,
at the
he's
end.
like, "Who? Are you surprised? Who's
Yeah.
surprised?"
Can I get a turkey leg? He's like, not till you finish your fish heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I thought that was good. And we see a lot of movies kind of like that. God, remember that egg movie, Steve? The one with I always just call it the egg movie.
Yeah.
That's one reminded me of later. I was like, oh God, Simpsons.
Yeah.
You could literally say Simpsons did it here.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. And you've seen there was another movie that recently came out. It was a horror movie. It was called *Malignant*, and it had to deal with something similar to this. And it's so interesting to see that, like, the Simpsons were kind of that. Again, they're known for that, being ahead of the game on some of the horror stuff. But like you were saying, man, like, even most of this stuff is taken so much from Twilight Zone and
yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock for sure. I mean, like, it's so much more now that I've seen it as an adult. I was like, dang, I don't even remember that.
So let's go. I'm sorry, Luke. What did you think of The Thing and I?
I thought it was good. Like, I think it was a fun.
funny.
Yeah, it was really funny, and I like the good twist. So yeah, no, I'm trying to think of, like, anything other than that. It's a pretty straightforward
Yeah.
one too. It's almost, you could almost you could almost treat it like it was like an episode of The Simpsons. Which
Pretty
I do
much.
Think
Yeah.
which I do think the earlier versions of Treehouse of Horror sometimes kind of towed that line where it's like
Absolutely.
they could reasonably be considered more canon, but then obviously as it went, like, some of them just get, like, obviously outrageous. And it's like, yeah, this is clearly non-canon, some of the stuff
Yeah.
that they do. But this one you could almost reasonably do in a regular episode.
Yeah,
too.
I thought it was funny.
I think so too.
Though,
So the Genesis tub, man. So this actually, when I seen this one, I didn't know it was this episode. And I said, "Wow, this is this famous episode." And for those of you who don't know or are just joining us in for this special, I actually love the Twilight Zone. So the episode that this is based off of, excuse me, is called "The Little People." from Twilight, which, you know, in itself, I have to say, guys, for a lot of things that are based off of this episode, including, you know, the South Park episode, The Simpsons did it, which they kind of harpen back to this episode, which they didn't even know they were doing a parody on themselves.
Yeah.
This Twilight Zone episode is kind of, I mean, it's past its time, guys, because basically what you have, it's these people who land on a planet, and you don't really even see the little people. You see them looking down, like just kind of like down
Constantly.
above, on the camera, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, look, they're building buildings down there. There's a society. And while the episode is like really intriguing, I guess, for the time, and it inspired so much, it's rather boring. I would actually say that these remakes and parodies of it, like the Simpsons episode here, is really good because it really kind of created a really funny tone. I love the whole taking her teeth out, you know, the whole shocking it, you know, almost like the
The Big
primordial, the primordial soup,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Then they
Yeah.
start building society and think she's God.
That's a funny line too that I love as an adult now when they shrink her down and they put her into the tube and they're all like asking her questions. One of them was like, "Hi, God, this is Tim here. I work at the whatever." They're
Yeah.
just like, why am I fat? Why does hurt exist in the world? And
Yeah.
why does bad thing happen to good people and stuff like that?
Yeah, I thought that was a good episode. Luke, what did you think of the Genesis tub?
It was really good. Again, rewatching it, and again, like you said, there are so many. There's so many parodies of this one. In terms of like, I think there was a short film recently. I think with like, what's his face, Topher Grace.
There's a Love Death Robot episode about it. Remember that,
Yes.
Steve?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that
know
was the one. Yeah. They watch a society in real time, like build up, and super evolve. Yeah, it was funny. And again, you know, the twist that Bart, like, just it's his science fair exhibit now.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy too is I love how my favorite part of that whole episode is when she was like, "No, that's not the devil. That's my brother." And he's like, "Your brother is the devil?" He's like, I thought that was good.
Do you like the parody of this? One more thing on that. Did you like the parody, Rob? You brought it up with the Little People episode of Twilight Zone, where he kind of doesn't he like step on part of the city or something?
Yeah, he touches him. He's like, oh,
he touches it. He's like
"I think
touching.
you're-"
Yeah. He like destroys the whole thing.
They have their, and then they come out and blast him and shit while he's sleeping
Yeah.
and everything, which I thought was funny.
It's funny.
Now this one I was cracking up so bad, and you know we tend to talk about this on this podcast about how things can be talked about today in today's nature. This episode, Citizen Kang, where
Yeah.
the aliens are the politicians, is one of the best episodes I have ever seen.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
This one
It's-
makes me laugh. It's so on its head and so true. And it's like they were talking about this back then, which of course was in 1996.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course, when
wow.
this aired.
almost 30 years ago. So
Right.
I mean, oh God, I just love, like, you know, which is like, oh, Bill Clinton gave a pretty cryptic message, and he's like, you know, people of Earth, and he's all doing those signals and everything.
Yeah.
That shit was great. I thought that
Yeah.
was good. It was more funny than scary, you know, like especially some like this one, especially. I really thought it was funny, especially when Homer gets in the spaceship and they're all sitting there, and him and Bob Dole are like, you know, maybe we shouldn't have partisan politics, and he's like, you know, I think you're right. He's like, let's change, and he like pushes that button, and they go out and die in space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one. It probably wouldn't air now, but definitely great.
I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think there's a
it's-
lot of good.
and it's funny because you could do that today and it would still be relevant. It's like, oh yeah, the two it's like, what are you gonna do? Vote for third party?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good joke. Yeah, that was the best joke in that episode, and everyone's like, ha ha ha, just laugh.
Laughing. Yeah.
He's like, throw away your vote. Oh God. All right, so let's go ahead and move into episode 9, which was, of course, season 9 of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, which I actually thought this one was kind of funny, which is a parody of the Omega Man.
Yes,
Which is
Yeah.
which is really funny because this is a parody of Omega Man, which
Yeah.
the Omega Man, which
Omega
of
Man.
course, anyone who knows us on the Real Sharks podcast knows that we've done this movie before, and of course, I think we're in agreement. It's pretty bad for the time, even when
Yeah,
it came
dude.
out. It's ridiculous.
Ambitious.
It has one of my favorite jokes, and I might want to add everybody too. This is what I Am Legend is based off of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what's great about the original Omega Man is Steve. Remember the phone call? He's like, "Stop the ringing!"
Yeah. And that was supposed to be like not funny at
Funny,
all.
I know.
Yeah.
Serious.
But I thought the Omega Man one was good with Homer and the whole, the rest of them becoming mutants. And he's like,
Yeah.
we don't prefer mutants, Homer. He's like, we prefer freaks. All these different words. I thought that was a really good joke. I liked this one a lot. I actually hate to say it, I don't like Omega Man too much.
Yeah.
It's more
So,
funny than anything.
Yeah. So I actually prefer anything over it,
Yeah.
including I Am Legend and this episode of The Simpsons.
Oh man.
Yeah. This one
Go
has
ahead,
like one of my favorite jokes ever written in a Simpsons episode, where the family's getting to the car, and Homer they're trying to get into the car, opening the door, and like Ned Flanders, who's mutated, walks up to them and is like, "Hidely ho, neighbor," and then Homer immediately
He
shoots
just
him.
shoots him.
Yeah.
And then Lisa's like, "You just killed zombie Flanders," and Homer's like, "He was a zombie."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
That was
So, let's go ahead and move into the next episode that they have there, which was The Fly versus The Fly, which of course is a ripoff of one of our favorite movies on this podcast.
Fly.
I'm pretty sure. The Fly, of course, with Jeff Goldblum. Actually, it was more of a homage to the original Fly, I would say.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
you're
Vincent Price
completely
one.
right, Rob.
And
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, yes, the machine is involved there, but what ultimately is the great joke, of course, is the whole, mixing with the fly and the DNA, because Bart thinks he's going to become like, Super Fly Man. But what's really funny about it, though, is when they actually see him and he's in the web, like in the old original, and he's like, "Help me, help
Yeah.
me." And he's like, just kidding. And the spider's all like,
You guys see the homage to early Cat Dog in this when he
Yeah.
chooses what's his face with the
Yeah.
dog, and I was like, wow,
Twice the
that's
pet.
got to be
the mess
Yeah.
or none of the mess or something like that.
yeah. And then the two tails come out behind it, and then he's like, you can be Lisa's pet, and it's
Yeah.
just like two tets, no heads. Yeah.
Yeah. Luke, what did you think of the Fly one?
It's pretty good. I like that one. It's not my favorite of the three. That's Omega Man, but yeah, it's pretty good. That's all I gotta say.
This one, actually, the next one on the list, which was the, excuse me just a moment here, which was Easy Bake Coven. I really, this is the one I actually didn't like that much. I thought this
Oh,
one was just
really?
okay. Yeah, I just thought this one was okay. Of course, it's talking about, obviously, a little harping back to Salem witch trials and everything like that. But I don't know. I don't find Marge that funny, I guess, as a character. So whenever they put her in the forefront of things, I just don't find it funny. So I'll let you guys take this one a little bit. What did you guys think of this episode?
I liked it, man. I think it was funny because of how just like off the wall they were doing with everything right out of the gate. You kind of knew how they were gonna go. They were just like, okay, what if we're gonna throw you off this cliff, and if you die, you know what I mean, a good Christian death, you are considered
was
good. If you fly away to safety, you are considered an evil witch. And they're like, they're like, what about due process? What about the Bible or something? Because that's why I like it so much, is because like they're getting a little
religious.
biblical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go like, yeah, the Bible says a lot of things. Push her over. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
that was a good
You're
one.
kind of
That was,
changing
like,
my mind. You're kind of changing my mind. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. The next one, of course, is season 10, and this one was one of my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, this one.
I don't know.
This
man.
one made me laugh so much because of how stupid it was. Which,
Yeah.
of course, season 10 we had the Hell to Pay, which of course was about this like, I guess a really bad dude who used a cheese to comb his hair and shit, and Bart sees him committing like a kind of a crime, and you know, and basically they end up taking this dude's toupee, and he's like, you know, your organs are gonna be like, you know, you're gonna be a donor now, and the next thing you know, Homer's like, Marge, I finally got a donor, and basically it's the toupee.
Yeah.
But it's evil.
It's evil, yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
evil toupee, which I think is absolutely great because then he starts going around becoming Homer and just like, you know, he's smoking the cigarette.
Yeah.
I thought I thought it was really funny. What'd you guys think about this episode?
Ah, man. I mean, I thought it was okay. You know what I mean? I thought the transplant of him like getting the toupee was funny by that scientist, but I think it's just because I like that guy from The Simpsons. I thought it was just all right. Like I didn't think it was too funny, but I thought it was funny for what it was.
Lou?
Yeah, I liked it too. Just you know, it had some good gore to with it tearing off his own head.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's funny.
I like the line where it's like after the end of it, the you know the officer Wiggins, right? Wiggum does like it's been a bad hair day, and everyone laughs.
Yeah.
Like, there's two people got murdered, but then she gets it. She's off.
I'm sure Steve kind of knows where I'm going to go with the next episode that was on here because this one was The Terror of Tiny Toon, which of course is a parody, everybody, of the movie Stay Tuned with one of my favorite actors, John Ritter. So for people who don't know, it's a movie about people who get sucked into a TV and they actually have to survive TV shows. It's a very kind of it's an old movie. I would say it's a forgotten classic, honestly, being a John Ritter film. But this one, of course, had Bart and Lisa being chased by their you know favorite cartoon characters, Itchy and Scratchy. Which you know, I just want to say, since we're probably never going to talk about The Simpsons again, I just want to say Itchy and Scratchy is one of the best parodies I will say that Matt Groening has ever done because it's clearly a ripoff of what Tom and Jerry is and what it basically is if it had blood in it because Tom and Jerry is one of the most violent cartoons ever created on the fucking planet.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you guys thought of this The Terror of Tiny Toon. I'm biased because I just love the movie it's parodying. I thought that was really good. I love Stay Tuned. I think it's a funny movie. But what do you guys think of The Terror of Tiny Toon?
This is the best one in the episode. This one was, like you said, I think this one kind of, you know why? I think this one brung back a little bit of the horror that it was kind of missing. Because before it was just getting fun, you know, it was just funny. You know what I mean? There's a lot of funny things happening. But when you bring Itchy and Scratchy into it, you know you're going to get some like messed up stuff that Simpsons pushing the bar and then mix that with a little bit of horror. I felt like, yeah, okay. This is like Treehouse horror Simpsons at its finest. I liked it.
Okay. Luke, what did you think about this episode?
This was good. I love the live action segment. That was just funny.
Yeah, that was sick. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, most people, our audience won't really know, but like Regis and Kathy Lee were like really big in the 90s.
Yeah.
as like vapid daytime talk show hosts. Like so,
they were like the bar. They were top tier back
they
then.
were, yeah.
So I'm a little torn though on this one because not only I'm biased because I like the movie Stay Tuned, but this next episode they did, Starship Poopers, this had me rolling. This had me going. Obviously a ripoff of what, you know, Jerry Springer at the time, and our audience probably will never know who that guy is either. Some of you guys, you know, unless you're our age. Listen, kids, yeah, you know, but he used to be a reality daytime talk show host. They used to have the most trashiest people that would come on there and tell their stories. But basically, it's a story of you got what's the baby's name, guys? I'm sorry,
Maggie.
Maggie's father, which of course is one of the aliens that always shows up in the Treehouse of Horror specials, which it really is one of the funniest episodes is when they start fighting and everything.
Yeah.
When he comes out,
was straight up with just chair. This is the fighting, because that was all what Jerry Springer was.
Yeah.
Everyone just watched it for the fighting. Everyone watched it for tits and fighting. That was pretty much what it was. I mean, what did you guys think of this episode?
Funny.
I liked it. You know, I thought it was fun. Again, I just the name is so stupid. It's so fun. You know, but having a Jerry, it's again with like Kathy Lee. It's interesting these parodies back then of what they were doing. Um, like nowadays, it's like gone back to like now it's this interesting time capsule of that time where some people might not even get the references to like what Jerry Springer was.
Yeah.
But I think that it's still pretty funny on its own. This is one of the things that we could this is probably one of the last times we talk about The Simpsons. It's like that was the rate in which parodies existed at that time before the internet. And The Simpsons was like,
And South Park.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Before even South Park, South Park really upped that timeline because they filmed they made everything within a week. So when they did current events, they were doing like right on the dot. Same thing with Saturday Night Live, which was a lot of that stuff's pretty throwaway. But Simpsons had to take its time, so when it did a parody, it had to really, really matter. Because by the time they're getting it on the air, it's absolutely not going to be like in the public conscious at that point. Like, say like a politician or a political scandal, like it had to really, really be a big deal if you're gonna do a Simpsons parody of it. Because otherwise, you're gonna put something out there and it's not going to be relevant anymore.
So after Luke got all heavy here, everybody, thank you. I'm just kidding, everybody. First, we're gonna go to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
How about that?
I want people to our assignment for the next couple of weeks is you have to find a way of introducing the show with a word that's fallen out of common use. I feel that'd be quite like a Victorian word for hello, or like
good day.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Bro Shocks Podcast, doing the Treehouse of Horror special. It is Rob with Luke and Steve. So we're actually on season 11 of the Treehouse of Horror. Now, this one, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. This one kind of, I think, fell short. So the first episode, of course, was I Know What You Diddly Did, which was, of course, a ripoff of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah. In which they kill Flanders, and, he comes back from the dead, and is all hokey. There is some funny jokes, like he went out for his fog walks. I thought that was actually pretty funny. I thought that when he's just like, "Oh, make a good time in this one," he turns into a werewolf, and then he gets hit by the car. So then he's not really dead. What'd you guys think of this one? I just think this one's okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one was it was okay. It wasn't bad. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Just here and there, just not really. It didn't really stand out. I think the name and the premise was like gonna be like more of a hype of, oh, this is gonna be good, and then when you actually see it, you're like, oh, it's all right.
Yeah. Luke, what'd you think of this one?
I thought it was okay too. I was like, I like the twist that he was bitten by. He was a werewolf.
He was a werewolf.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move into the next one, which was Desperately Seeking Xena. Now, this one actually we used to have when we used to do the show straight up audio wise. We actually had a clip from this one, and again, this one I actually just think is okay. I think it's funny. It's the guy who who's the big nerd trying to collect her. This one almost came off as more of like an old episode. They try to like put on as a treehouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely.
It could have worked like that.
Because this one was not, to me, should have been added in the Treehouse of Horror. I don't know. I really didn't care this one. The only thing that's funny is when the guy's all like, you're riding a griffin. He's like, but then we clearly see when it cuts back that you're clearly, and she's like, well, whenever you see something you can't explain, a wizard did it. Which I think is a great joke.
It's a good one. It's a tight, I just feel like I'm with you, Rob. I just feel like this is another one where it's like, I mean, it was cool. You got a couple of laughs, but it didn't really stick. You're just like, okay, next one. Let's see what you got. It's a third. That's how I kind of felt.
Yeah. So what'd you guys think of the next one? Because I actually didn't really care for the next one either, which is Life's a Glitch, Then You Die. which is year 2000 problem.
Yeah, Y2K.
Yeah, the Y2K thing. To be honest with you guys, I remember this as just a kid, and it kind of drove me
Same.
crazy as a kid. So I really think parodies of it are really just kind of, I don't know. Some
Yeah.
of them are
You think they're
funny,
dated?
some of
You
it
didn't
are hit or
like it?
miss. Yeah, some of
Yeah,
it.
it's and again, some people, and people might not. That's funny because it's like, I feel like people won't even necessarily know what that is about back then because it's
True.
like,
Yeah, I
and it's
agree.
hard to explain to people. Like, yes, there was a genuine belief that when 2000 hit, that like all the computer systems would stop,
Yeah.
uh,
Crash and fail, and missiles would
crash
launch.
at the
And,
same time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because of the way like clocks were programmed, so that something would internal. Um, I've heard various things that like this was like a work of a lot of technical professionals to make it that it didn't happen. Some people would also just believe that that the actual incident was never going to happen in the first place. It was all just
Right.
conspiracy theory.
Right.
Regardless, yeah, it is interesting. It is funny to think that like back then there was a whole group of people that were like Y2K. Y2K, we're all gonna die.
We're all gonna
Yeah.
die. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're all gonna
yeah.
die. Yep.
Yeah,
God,
definitely. I agree, man.
know.
I agree. I think what's funny about this. I remember. I'm with you, Rob. I remember this seeing as a kid, and it just didn't hit so hard because the 1999 year was so heavy with Y2K everything, like all shows, animated, like all the kid shows, they all had their like Y2K episodes. All the talk shows were doing Y2K. So when I saw this, it was kind of like, I mean, here you go, Simpson. You did your version of the Y2K, like funny. So I just, again, at the time, I even thought it was just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of sucked because you're like, oh, that's the last one for the Treehouse, and we have to wait another year to watch, the Treehouse to see if it's funny. So it wasn't really that great.
All right. Let's go ahead and move into what would be season 12 of Treehouse of Horror. So then we had Ghost Dad, which of course is about Homer. He gets killed by choking on a piece of broccoli, and he must perform a good deed in order to get into heaven. This one, I thought could have been a regular Simpsons episode. I mean, it's okay. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of that cliche. I've seen Beavis and Butthead do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was okay. I mean, what did you guys think of this episode? I know everyone didn't like it.
It was good. No, listen, I did like it, but it wasn't my favorite of the episode. I'll say that. I did like it though. It was good.
This is your
I think
favorite of the episode? I am actually fucking shocked by that.
No, not this episode wasn't my favorite, but it was the favorite
Okay.
of this.
I think I know. I
this-
think I know what's your favorite one because
I think you know it. Yeah.
because I have to tell you there are two. I don't know whether you like this one a lot, Luke, but I think there's two duds in here for one that is just a fucking gem.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
so the next one of course is Scary Tales Can Come True, which of course is about Homer loses his job as the village oaf and he abandons Bart and Lisa in the woods and family food shortage and then it's I don't really like the Grim Tales in general. So, I'm not a big fan of this one in general. So did anyone like this one?
I think there's a scene I really love where like Homer like is turned into a fish and he's fighting in the oven and his head's in the oven for a second and he sniffs the air and he's like, ooh, fish. Oh, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did that really good.
Yeah, and see that's another thing. That's funny, and I get where Rob is saying too, because it's like, dang, that could just be like an episode of The Simpsons regular,
Yeah, I mean, this would probably have been like a late season episode. I guess like where they were getting really into the
crazy
into the woods.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
No pun intended.
So this next one, of course, I think is the absolute gem.
The top one, dude.
The Night of the Dolphin, which of course is a parody of the Day of the Dolphin and the Birds. Which, I mean, just talking about this one right here, I laugh.
It's the best one.
Of
dude.
course, it's about Lisa releases a dolphin back in the wild, and he happens to be a prince. and instead of like seeking peace, he's all like, "I'm gonna have my vengeance on the humans."
Yeah.
So, I mean, what can you say? They took basically a lot of scenes, which I love because Alfred Hitchcock is, I love Alfred Hitchcock's films, but when the scene of the birds, especially because there's a scene where like the characters are walking through the birds and there's just birds everywhere and they're just like, oh. And this one is the dolphins. And
Yeah.
that scene, they're just like,
When they walk through, the birds are just staring at them.
Yeah.
So then they have
or-
the scene of like them on the birds. Like there's an iconic scene. They look up because they're like, how many birds are there? And they see all the birds on the live wire, right? So then, like in this one, they look up and then the dolphins are standing on the live wire.
What made it even funnier is how they showed the dolphins kind of becoming bipedal, which was like almost in the realm of total possibility. Like if dolphins really were like, fuck this, fuck the ocean, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then what was another great scene too is when they're marching like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I mean, oh god, this was probably my favorite episode of all the Treehouse of Horrors we've done.
It really is so good.
Definitely because of this.
I wish it was an episode in itself. You know what I mean? Because I could have watched this one like
Yeah,
I could have gone a while on this one.
whole episode.
Yeah, yeah, this one was good.
This also just a quick reference to the first. This also has one of my favorite intros as well, which is the Munsters parody.
Yeah.
Oh right, that's just
Yeah, they're all
solid one.
they get the Munsters parody, and then they all get murdered except for Lisa Simpson, who's the normal one.
Oh god. So we're gonna go ahead and move away from. I'm pretty sure what was our favorite episode on that one. So let's move into season 13, which had, of course, Hex in the City. Now this one was interesting. This is where like Homer basically messes with the gypsy fortune teller and she places a curse on him, which I thought this episode was just okay, but what makes it really funny is the whole leprechaun aspect of it. To me, that was the whole, especially when he like releases it and he's just like, and they just start fighting, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, kiss me, I'm Irish.
Yeah, definitely.
That part made me laugh. That part I thought was funny. What did you guys think about that episode?
I thought it was funny. I don't know if this was loosely based off of the Stephen King movie Thinner, that he gets basically stricken. It's like some big fat guy gets stricken and he gets progressively thinner throughout the movie. But in this one, they just give him a weird, like, like leprechaun type of thing. I was dying every single time about just because of that.
And it was just like this crazy Irishman just going crazy. Kiss me, I'm Irish. And he's all like, when he's trying to catch him with his lucky charge, he's like, oh damn it.
Yeah.
That part was actually funny.
For me, it's the saying that like at the end, Marge is like, Bart committed suicide by drowning. He said the gypsy will bring him back to life if he apologizes.
Yeah.
She's not the boss of me.
Yeah, because oh my god, that was a part of it. Remember when his neck gets basically turned,
super low.
stretched out, and then like right at the table, was like, can't live like this. It just dies. So I thought that part was pretty funny. The next episode I thought was okay. I mean, God, this is another one, and I hate to say it, maybe I'm just not in the mood for this type of parody right now. House of Wax, which was of course a parody of 2001, of course, with the Space Odyssey, with the computer, try the water, Steve, it's really real.
Yeah.
I mean, I missed the boat on this one, man. I'm with you.
I'm not a huge fan of this one. I thought it was just okay. I mean, I don't have much to say about this episode. Do you guys?
Not really. I mean, other than the voice of Dennis Miller, or they say it's to recognize it as the voice that caused all those murder suicide. That's a pretty good line.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing really.
Okay. Well, Luke, I know this was probably your favorite one that they ever did. Was of course Whiz Kids Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Which of course is the parody of the Simpsons parody of Harry Potter.
Uh,
Again, this
and
could have
two-
just been its own episode, but
And
I
you
don't know
and
why.
to its credit, this is 2001. So this would be after like the first movie. So
just came out.
I guess yeah. So this was like right at the beginning of the Harry Potter when it really.
Your favorite moment.
God. I will be so happy when we're just done. I mean, like we're not gonna be done. It's like saying like I'm gonna be so glad when we're done with all this Star Wars and Marvel stuff, and we're not.
Right.
We're just not.
Yeah,
It's not. It's
There
Yeah,
will be a
anyway.
day where Luke will look into that camera, ladies and gentlemen. He will say, I'm Hufflepuff all the way.
Okay. I thought you
No.
would say Luke is gonna
See,
look into
listen,
the mirror and
if-
go hickety spickety.
Yeah, this is my this is whatever Martin Scorsese has against Marvel movies. I'm that way with Harry Potter stuff. Like that's not cinema. And I will shut the
Aw.
fuck up
Oh,
about
man.
it.
I thought it was funny though that they had Smithers, Burns and Smithers played Lord of Mort and Slithers. That was funny though, because when he kills him, he's like, "Oh, sir, we'll be together in death." He's like, "Oh." When he eats him, that part to me I thought was really
Yeah.
good. That was
I'm more impressed now looking at it like years later that they tackled this one so early. You know what I mean? They were on that hype train because Harry Potter was like so much hype and that first movie just came out and I remember they were like boom that Halloween this came out. So I was impressed with that.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because of like it doesn't really have as much to do with the Harry Potter series at all. It's just a magic school with like the names.
Yeah.
So, which is that's always what I find interesting. The like early adaptations before like one thing kind of like picks up and really like decides on it. Kind of the same way when you watch any Marvel movie before Iron Man. You know?
yeah.
Like before that, there's like there's just like it's much different. It has a much more different vibe because they're not trying to go for a consistent tone. So.
See, we gotta get deep, ladies and gentlemen, because we will probably never talk about The Simpsons here on the show.
Yeah.
ever.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, I think we should talk about The Simpsons at some point. We don't need to do a whole. We should
I
talk
know,
about The
I
Simpsons.
Yeah.
Dude,
So
we're
season-
dudes in our 30s. Like half of the podcasts are that. Just dudes
Is
in their
that-
30s talking about The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So
might as well join them.
might as well.
Right.
Might as well
Yeah.
join the crowd.
So let's go ahead and take our last commercial break, and we will be right back, everybody, on Pod Nation TV. And welcome back, everybody, to the Real Sharks podcast on Pod Nation TV. You're watching the 31 Days of Horror with Real Sharks, Reviews That Scare, and Journey with the Cinephile. And we are going to be finishing up our Treehouse of Horror with The Simpsons with season 14. Send in the Clones, which is a parody of Melissa P. I can never say this fucking goddamn movie. Was it Melicity?
Multiplicity.
Multiplicity.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luke. Which, of course, in this one, it's about Homer who has a hammock that collapses when his hammock collapses when he's taking a nap. So he goes and he buys a new one, and he finds out when he lays on this one, it can actually clone people.
Yeah. And it close.
Yeah, I thought this one was all right. It had me laughing. I thought this was okay. I'm not gonna lie. These next couple like episodes, I really kind of were absent for me a little bit.
Okay.
I could see.
So what did you what you guys think of this episode?
I thought it was fun. It's kind of a thin premise. The whole hammock produces a clone, but like this is 2002. I think it's at this point. you get a lot of people saying like, "Hey, how long is The Simpsons gonna last?"
Yeah, true.
This,
Yeah.
was season, this was season 14. Remember, there are 26 episodes at this time per season. So there are. Hold on, let me do the math.
Luke's doing the math, everybody. And as Luke is doing the math, everybody, we will continue to our discussion about the Treehouse of Horror. There we go.
Yeah, but at this point, we're looking at 300 episodes of The Simpsons. There have been 300 episodes.
Give or
And
take, yeah.
and again, that's 2020. That's 2002. So that means that there are at least another 300 episodes of The Simpsons that are now in existence. We're probably in the thousands now.
Way more in the thousands. And again, Simpsons was a show that was created in, I think, 80s or early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah, early. Yeah, so it's been all. But yeah, so season 14, you get the vibe of like, okay, they've been around forever, like
forever.
Yeah.
And then you could just see. I think this is the one where I'm with you, Rob. I was watching it, but I was so disengaged with it. I just felt like, it's like, oh, is this where kind of like I stopped watching, The Simpsons?
I think so. This is basically, I would say
We are
so.
torn, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We are torn on this episode here.
Yeah,
But
because
I
I just think
say-
the Family Guy was kind of like hitting. It was
It
about
is-
to hit its stride a little bit.
Yeah.
And it,
I'll say this:
2002.
I did like the Island of Dr. Hibbert. I did
Well,
like.
that's the next one we're moving
Yeah.
into, which is, of course, the rip off of the Island of Dr.
Dr. Moreau.
Murray. Dr.
Yeah.
Moreau, yeah.
Yeah,
This one's, Luke, I did like this one. I thought this one was the kind of the gem in it. I thought
Yeah,
this was pretty
definitely.
funny.
Yeah,
The Simpsons family decided to take a vacation on the Island of Lost Souls, where Dr. Herbert has been transforming Springfield citizens into animals. So this one was funny. I thought this
It's
one had
funny.
a
This
nice
is a
little
good one.
joke into it.
yeah.
Did anybody else have anything to say about
What
this?
was the? Oh, at the end of the speech, it's like, all you guys, it's like, you're now animals. All you do is sit around and eat and mate and lie around in your own filth and mate. And where do I sign up?
Yeah.
That part was funny.
That was,
So,
yeah.
It's in
That was a
some
good
of these
tight humor.
episodes, just like everything else in The Simpsons. I think I told you, I like The Simpsons. I think it's charming at times, but there's just moments where like when I laugh, I laugh. When I'm not laughing, I'm not laughing. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. Like, I respect that, Rob, because it's like, yeah, like The Simpsons used to be like funny all the way around, mixed in with very educated humor. And this is good too. Like, I can appreciate where they're going for, but it's also like, well, I felt like there's like something missing, especially when it kept going. It's like this episode for me, like all three of them, I didn't hate them, but I was just so like, I don't know, like I was just disengaged. Other than like what Luke would say, I would hear something and I'd be like, oh, that's funny. And I would laugh like hard at that, but then like that's probably the only hard laugh I'll get.
It was like they were like, hey, we got a really good joke for this episode, but we gotta like fill in 20 minutes to get to that joke.
Yeah, we gotta get there, and then that's it.
Yeah. Just a moment, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the next season, which is going to be our last, which was season 15, Reaper Madness, which is about the Grim Reaper enters the Simpsons house, attempting to take Bart, but the family goes on a Benny Hill style chase to elude him. What can I say? Kind of a cartoon, about death. You were talking about Family Guy. I think Family Guy did an episode 2 already, where death kind of already came and hung out with Homer. So this episode to me was, I don't know, I really didn't care for it too much.
Yeah, you think so? I think this is the time where they were kind of flipping, like, oh, Family Guy is way funnier than The Simpsons, because I felt like that too. I'm like, I could have sworn Death was played by like I don't even know who, but and yeah, they did him like a couple of times. I think he's like a reoccurring character. So like, it's weird that The Simpsons would do this on like their Treehouse Horror. I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like again, the title when I see it, I'm like, oh, clever, right? Reaper Madness. But then when you watch it, you're like, dang, dude, that kind of sucked. Like, where's the funny at?
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm actually checking this out too. It is actually a parody of the Family Guy episode, "Death is a Bitch." That's actually supposed to be their parody of that. So that's Matt Groening's parody of Family Guy.
I think that's a bad parody. Yeah, I think going for them on your like Treehouse of Horror, which is so like people look forward to that. Even
Yeah.
people that don't even watch The Simpsons are like, oh, I'll watch it around Halloween because that's
What
like
do-
a thing for people.
What do you think about that, Luke?
About doing a joke of Family Guy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I think like because Family Guy didn't get super degraded early on. It was actually pretty funny, I would say.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, they've been. I could see it that like they could see themselves as again. This is on the downside. I believe this is the first time when I saw this. Every other episode I had seen before. So when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this episode. This is the first episode where I was like, oh, I don't think I watched this when it
Yeah.
first came
Yeah.
out.
Same. I'm like, what? I don't remember this one.
And again, so like up season 15. So you can probably see that as maybe like sour grapes. I don't want to, because like Family Guy is the new animated series and Simpsons has been around forever. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
but,
Definitely.
So the next one, of course, was Frankenstein, classic. This one actually I thought was kind of funny who they used for the characters. I thought it was kind of funny. Again, I thought they were typical Frankenstein jokes. I've kind of seen them and heard them before. I liked it though. I mean, this one
good.
was a little bit better than all the other ones previously.
You like the
Personally,
gore that happened in this
I'm
one?
a sucker for Frankenstein, to be honest with you. I like
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Steve knows.
Yep.
I enjoy Frankenstein quite a bit. So I like this one, but again, this is so late in the game right here. Doesn't it seem like a in this one too, Homer gets called by the Royal Swedish Academy of Science, telling him that he's the winner of a Nobel Prize, which is great. I think that was
That's
really
hilarious right there.
yeah,
That's
that is funny. I thought that was
Yeah.
funny. But this one almost seems like, and I don't know if you guys would agree with me, almost like a cop out kind of episode for shows to
Yeah.
do. Like, hey, let's just bury Frankenstein,
Yeah. Also, well, I think it was also kind of built around the guest star. Which
Yeah.
Yes. I
which
think
was
so,
which was
yeah.
Jerry Lewis, who again was not dead at that point, which shocks me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. 2003. I know, right? It's like what?
Yeah, 2003. Yeah, and he's playing the father of Professor Frink, who like Professor Frink is based off of the character of the Nutty Professor from the original Jerry Lewis movie.
Yeah, that voice.
Yeah.
So-
definitely.
So his father is, of course, Jerry Lewis. And you wonder how long it took them to get Jerry, like, or if this had been something they'd been wanted to do forever. Or they're like, we'd love to have Jerry Lewis, but he's just like, fuck this place.
Yeah, right. Like I don't want a cartoon. What? No.
Yeah.
That was okay.
I actually did enjoy the next one. The next one here that we're going to talk about, and of course, I'm sure many of our listeners will know, including Steve here. Stop the World and I Want to Goof Off, which is a parody of a Twilight Zone episode called Kind of a Stopwatch, which is a really, it's a very classic one. Yeah, it's good. I liked this one though too. I liked all the pranks they played on it. I mean, if you did have a watch like that, I thought it was really good. This one I thought was, besides the Frankenstein one, I thought was really probably my second favorite.
For me, it was my personal favorite of it. I liked it a lot, just because I like the Twilight Zone. I remember that episode.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know about that episode, it's loosely based off of this, where this guy gets a stopwatch and he's just able to control time. So
Yeah. Back and forth, which is funny.
yeah.
Luke, what did you think of this episode?
I mean, I liked, obviously it was because it's a Twilight Zone parody. I liked the premise of it a lot. And, I thought the visual jokes were funny. But yeah, it does feel like they definitely, this is, of the three, this is the one I like the most.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it lost momentum. This is
Losing its flavor.
Losing its flavor. And of course I would say, but I feel they did a lot with it, so it still is okay. So,
well, thank you everybody for joining the Real Sharks podcast on the second week of October for the Treehouse of Horror special and the 31 Days of Horror with Reviews That Scare, Real Sharks, and Journey with a Cinephile. We might be back on here to do the second to last week. We're not sure, but if we're not, we look forward to seeing everybody. And we want to say happy Halloween from your host, Rob, with his host, Steve and Luke.
Yo.
And saying, again, watch out for that candy and watch out for razor blades.
Yeah.
Watch out for Saw-type characters wanting to play a game with you, ladies and gentlemen. If they want to play a game, just look the other way, okay? All right. There's a lot of people out there that try to fool you. But I think I really killed Steve there on that one. But from the Real Sharks podcast, we're saying we're going to catch you on the flip side from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Yeah, okay, Steve?
I don't know.